What type of anti-Semitism do you feel is occurring both in Europe and in the United States nowadays?
Well, you know, it's more anti-Israeli feelings. And, but of course, it's very difficult to separate anti-Semitism to anti-Israeli sentiments because we are there, you know. You start blaming the Israelis and then you start blaming the Jews. And so we are in a difficult situation right now in Europe because of the influx of refugees. Of course, many need help and they are good people. I don't think there's any reason to think they are different or worse than anybody else. But I think that there are also groups who really are especially anti-Israeli and then as a consequence anti-Jewish. And in many, many places, like in Northern Europe, in Sweden, in Norway, there is a lot of anti-Semitism. And the government is very weak. These governments want to appease the Muslims, and it's a very bad politics. Yeah.
In Italy, the fascists came from the left. They were far leftists.
Well, Mussolini started as from the left, but then he created the fascist party, who became a right. It became really no communist. Was the opposite.
The state fascist.
It became a fascist. It became a right-wing party. In fact, the communists, I must say, were the victims. They were persecuted too by the fascists. And, you know, because after the Second War, there was such a chaos in Italy. There were the communist groups who wanted to, of course, to affirm their ideology. So the population felt threatened. And therefore, the fascist movement grew up from this period of chaos. And, of course, they installed some order in Italy, but they lost their freedom. And all the people who didn't think like them were persecuted. And then Mussolini, under the influence of Hitler, started to take away the freedom of Jews. But a lot of anti-fascists were persecuted, and a lot of communism, and everybody who dissented from the government. Of course, the Italians were never as cruel as the Nazis. Right. But when Germany occupied Italy, this was a death sentence for many Jews because they were taken to camps. And so were taken part of the population, the people who resisted, the partisans who were caught, were sent to the camps and were killed. And also the Italian army, when Italy declared that armistice, the Germans gave the Italian army the choice of fought with them or stay with with Italy, and most of them chose to stay Italian, to be Italians, and not to fight for the Germans. They were interned. Most of them, I would say, 99% didn't fight for the Germans. And when Italy conquered territories like what was ex-Yugoslavia, they never allowed any German, although the Nazi kept requesting that the Italian army gave them the Jews. And they said it was against the honor of the Italian army to give the Jews to be killed, which was a different kind of honor from the one of the Germans, the German army.
How concerned are you about the anti-Israelism being taken out against the Jewish people? Whether they're in the streets of Amsterdam, streets of France, or even in America when Orthodox Jews.
I'm worried, especially here with the
BDS?
Yes, organization, which is doing a terribly bad things to Israel. It's really this is a big danger. And we have to fight it. We have to fight it. And of course, I hope, at least in Italy, they said that the barbars conquered Rome, but Rome conquered the barbars, because at the end, they became part of the population. So I hope that the foreigners who are in Europe will integrate. And I hope, and it's very much up to the governments not to give in to their demands, to their requests, And this will be the main battle in the future. If the government will ask the refugees to behave and to observe the custom of their places, and not to force the native population to become like them. And unfortunately, in some places it is becoming like that, like women have to be all covered to go out from their home, because otherwise they are insulted. They risk...
assaulted.
Assaulted,
yeah.
Yes.
Now, Jewish people have to dress differently because of attacks from Muslims.
They can't have a kippah, they can't put a mezuzah, they can't have any sign on them that they are Jews. I think it's terrible, with my character, I would go out with... I never hide that I'm Jewish. Never.
In America or in Italy?
In Italy, yes. I read my Tehillim, my book on Tehillim, on the trains, everything. I just don't care. I remember I was on the train, because usually I stop in England to visit my brother, his Ethiopian wife, and my 3 beautiful nieces. And I was on a train, I was reading my Tehillim, and of course one part is Hebrew, one part was English. And the guy by me, I was sure he was a Muslim. And when I needed help to pick up my suitcase from above, he pretended to sleep, because he understood, he saw what I was reading. So I'm sure that this is why he was in accordance. So I understood. But
would you have accepted his assistance?
Excuse me?
Would you have accepted?
Oh, yes, yes. If he had done it, he would have shown that it didn't make any difference. Sometimes I take Lyft or Uber, and I found Muslim driver, and not always, but most of the time, I say I'm Jewish. Well, they take me to home, which is such a Jewish environment. They're unable, they cannot be mistaken. But most of the time, and I talk with an African man who was Muslim. I think it was, can't remember, Nigeria maybe, or Senegal. And he asked me if I want to pray for him. And I said, I'm Jewish, but we have one God. And he said, yes, we have only one God.
Was he Christian?
No, he was Muslim.
When you take taxis in Europe, in Italy, are you concerned?
I take taxi, but they are all from locals.
From where?
They are locals. I'm talking about here
Italian
in Los Angeles.
Oh, no, but, yeah.
Yes, Italian drivers, yeah, but I have no problem, I speak Italian with an Italian accent, and not English, right? And my accent is mixed with French, So.
But are all the taxi drivers not Muslim in Italy?
So far, in my town I've taken, and also when I was in Rome for 3 days in August, I went to visit a friend. They were all Italians, but I didn't take. I might have taken 5-6 times. So this is not enough to judge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably if I lived in Rome, I would have met probably foreigners, but not in my town of Udine. I didn't meet foreigners.
How effective a job do you feel that the authorities are doing in keeping the political and social opposition to Zionism from getting out of hand? How good a job?
Well, I think American government is very neutral, which is not the best thing, But I think that the French Prime Minister Hollande has shown a lot of strength and courage. And in Italy, I don't think there have been any sign of anti-Israeli sentiments. But, I don't live there.
You don't follow it closely?
No, I don't follow closely.
How about in the United States? How good a job do you think the established organizations are doing in keeping anti-Israelism and anti-Semitism from becoming a problem?
I think we are very strong in the United States, also because we Jews are trying to do our best to be good citizens. We are the professional class. Almost everybody has had a Jewish doctor, and they always heard very good things, even when people don't know if I'm Jewish. Oh, my Jewish doctor is so good. So, I think we are very respected in this country, and we are doing well, Baruch Hashem, and hopefully we will be always strong, and we will be able to defend ourselves and to keep safe. Yeah.
Do you think we need a Jewish defense force like the partisans in Europe?
No. In
the United States, do we need to have some defense?
No. I think that when we have the police in front of the synagogue, it's a good thing, especially during high holidays, because it can be a crazy person. You never know what can happen. It happened in churches, as you have seen recently. A crazy man killed so many good souls, So it's good. We have to be careful. I'm not saying that we have to lower our guard, but I think we are pretty safe. Yeah.